Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and of course welcome back to Diablo 4. With the release of Season 3 landing literally tomorrow as I make this video, you might need a refresher on how to progress and level quickly. I'm here to tell you that there's two main ways to do it. One of them is faster than the other, but the faster one is certainly not the most fun, and it's going to leave you dry on resources. And honestly, the seasonal stuff is not going to be that much slower than the fastest grindy method. That's what was predicted for, say, Season 2, and it turned out to be exactly that way. We just did seasonal stuff to its main completion, you know, getting everything unlocked and powering up, and easily reached the point we could go into World Tier 3, like roughly level 40, and we're expecting essentially the same thing in Season 3. So I'll explain what your options truly are, the details of those, and leave the choice to you. Okay, so since you clicked this video, I'm going to assume you want the fastest option first. Again, be aware that this is the minimal fun version, and it'll probably put you behind on seasonal stuff, and most importantly, the currencies that you're going to have to catch up on later. But if you just want raw XP, it's the classic strat. You make your new seasonal character, you skip the campaign, you pick World Tier 2, assuming that you're strong enough and have a good understanding of your class. Maybe you're in a team that also is. If for any reason you're being slowed down though, you can go to World Tier 1. When we load in, you'll be able to collect the renown that you gathered from the previous seasons, and that'll give you some extra talents to work with. Now your character's functional, we're still going to do the seasonal quest as much as we can pretty much immediately. The reason for that is that the seasonal power is going to make you stronger, significantly stronger, and so you're clear and therefore time to XP is worth this investment. The seasonal power this time is actually a companion though, a little construct that you power. In short, it's got 2 ability slots called Governor Stone slots and 6 support slots called Tuning Stone slots. 1 construct ability will be enhanced by 3 support stones. This is very Path of Exile feeling if you played that. It's like skill gems and support gems. I cannot tell you with certainty which construct abilities are going to be best or what support skills you want to take, but I can tell you that 2 offensive abilities makes the most sense because we definitely aren't going to be in much danger until later on. Therefore, the most DPS and burst possible seems great on paper. And since this is a leveling plan guide, I'm not going to be going into lots of details on this, and besides, we don't truly know what will be best until we get some proper testing underway. But I'm looking at Slash or Gyrate for possible offensive melee attacks, paired with likely Tempest. For supports, it's very likely you're going to need initiative support on any melee construct attacks to give it the ability to teleport and land its attacks consistently. I also like the sound of switch support to make those attacks come out fast, and arcing support to hit multiple targets with that ability, potentially ideal for Tempest. Resource support while leveling will really help us, since we'll be starving on the resources in the early game. Now there's more I could talk about here, but again, not the point of this video. Those are just some things to be aware of. In any case, go immediately unlock your construct companion, unlock some abilities for it with some suitable supports, and push that quest line as far and as quickly as you can. By doing so, you'll unlock the seasonal drops in normal gameplay, and that will be well worth doing. As soon as the quest line's locked by level or content progress, it's time to go grind XP. So, return to Dopamine tunnels. Because yeah, it looks like the tunnel spam is gonna be the optimal route. You may have heard this referred to by the player base as the dopamine tunnels, because it is just that best time to XP ratio. It came about after the pre-season dungeon spam to level stuff, where, you know, Nightmare dungeons were providing way too little XP. They majorly buffed that later. All we were doing was going to dungeons and farming specific sections of them. Then Blizzard would nerf that, we go to a different dungeon, and eventually they caved, and that left us with Dopamine tunnels. The simple strat for this one is to go in there and clear the first part of the dungeon only. Specifically, that means the first area where there's good mob density. It's very easy to clear. Going through here, you'll also have the option to free some prisoners to sort of progress the dungeon big picture, which, you know, we don't need to. So you just go in there, kill all the mobs in the first area, exit, reset, and do it again. To reset a dungeon, you just teleport out. You can either take a teleport to town, opening a portal that you can just use to return back here. Probably do that when you need to vendor. Or you can use the scroll wheel and exit the dungeon, putting you right at the entrance just outside. And as soon as you're outside, whichever method you did, you press J to open the journal, and you'll see a reset dungeon button on the right. We use that, reset the dungeon, and re-enter via the entrance or the portal. Clear it out, and do that again. And that really is it. We farm the tunnel entrance area until we're strong enough to go into World Tier 3 by beating the Captstone. You may interrupt this process when you get your class power unlock, like say rogue specializations or later with the Necromancer's Golem. You want to stop and go do those as soon as possible, since they provide relevant power spikes, which means more effective clear. It's also going to be worth it when you reach that point that you can go get a key codex aspect or multiple, so again you can kill those mobs more effectively. After doing that to a certain point and beating the Captstone for World Tier 3 roughly at level 40 to 50, you'll just come back to the tunnels again to push out a few more levels to get comfortable with World World Tier 3. Because when you first enter, you're probably going to have a hard time with the mobs, since you'll be under-geared and potentially under-leveled. So the tunnels can help you kind of power into Tier 3 and get over that edge, and once you're a bit stronger, you can start farming Nightmare Dungeons. To do that, you'll need to do at least one Whisper's Hand in to get the first one, i.e. do the Nightmare Dungeon questline for the Occultist and get that started. And we just clear Nightmare Dungeons until we're strong enough to push into World Tier 4, doing so as soon as possible. This might mean you rely on the tunnels again to get higher level without being crushed, that's up to you, but throughout your time in World Tier 3 and then 4, you want to make sure you're doing things like killing the world bosses whenever they're up. Definitely consider doing some Hell Tides just to get a little bit of the vital resources they provide, and definitely hunt the target bosses to get some suitable drops as soon as you're strong enough. Big picture though, it is pretty much just farm Nightmare Dungeons to level 100 from there. Unless the vaults turn out extremely worth the time, we will see how that turns out. So that's the max XP to time method, just farm the tunnels and Nightmare Dungeons. The slightly slower but much better long-term thing to do is, go figure, interact with the seasonal content and do much more open world stuff. Much the same, once you're in game you'll play on World Tier 2 unless it's clearly slowing you down. You go get the construct unlocked and progress the seasonal story as much as you can, whenever you can. Now you'll actually go do some open world content, which does reward tons of items and resources, and in some cases, vital currencies. It's expected that the vaults will be less XP than optimal Nightmare Dungeon farming or the tunnels before that, but they absolutely should be considered. It's very likely you'll need to go do those to get your construct unlocked, and more importantly, powered up, getting the actual support skills that you need for your build and leveling them so they're more effective. It's also going to be fun because, you know, new and interesting, so I'd always recommend it. On the topic of vaults, those are that new dungeon type coming in Season 3, Construct Swarmed, Trap-filled, new dungeon designs which will hopefully be more engaging to progress through. There'll be different hazards within, and you need to avoid those to keep the stacks of your warding, which is what's giving you access to the place in the first place. If you keep your warding alive after defeating the final boss in there, you get to open the ward-woven chests, so better drop odds. You can actually increase the risk by using Pearls of Warding, but that'll also increase the reward potential. A Nightmare version of these vaults will come into play when you enter World Tier 3. They'll be dropped as unique sigils, kind of similar to regular Nightmare Dungeon sigils, and so you can also craft them. In terms of open world content, Legion events are always going to provide the most bang for your buck. Tons of XP, loads of items, and they're up pretty often, so they're easily the most valuable open world thing to do while leveling. On the other hand, Whispers are going to be great XP. They were heavily buffed back in Season 2, and hopefully the rewards will be good this time. If you're able to combo Whispers with a seasonal grind, like we were doing in Season 2 with the Blood Harvest, that'd be amazing, but we're going to have to see if that's an option this time. So in short, clear the seasonal quest line with priority, and then do open world content like Legion events whenever possible. Engage with the vaults and the seasonal content for upgrades and unlocks, and reach World Tier 3, probably not that much slower, but with more resources. Of course, stop to go unlock your class power at 15 or 25, depending on your class, and imprint ideal codex aspects onto your amulets, rings, and probably gloves, since weapons and other parts are going to change constantly as you upgrade. In World Tier 3, roughly around level 40, you can prioritize getting a sacred set of gear ASAP. Previously, that was done by engaging with the Blood Harvest by opening the chest for free loot, and so it's likely the vaults will serve a similar purpose and could be your main objective as you go into a new world tier for that reason. Naturally though, we'll still be killing world bosses whenever possible for the great drop rewards and resources, and definitely farm some Hell Tides here and there for both XP and gear drops, but the very important currency. Otherwise, again, it's Nightmare Dungeons until you're ready to unlock World Tier 4. We did this last time around level 50 to 55, but there's nothing wrong with waiting until later, and once you're comfortably in World Tier 4, after getting a few Ancestrals, doing some world content, getting strong enough, you'll do Nightmare Dungeons at Ancestral level, so tier 20 plus, all the way to 100. One thing I want to note is the season journey. These provide rewards at each major chapter. Sometimes they provide an aspect that is absolutely vital for your build that normally it's hard to get your hands on, maybe through RNG. For Necromancer in Season 1, we had exposed flesh in the journey rewards. That was amazing, and yet in Season 2 we had nothing of value. So I hope they're better this time. Just be sure to check the rewards and hunt them down if they're worth it. With this method, you will have a much greater variety of content, from open world events to seasonal unlocks and powering up, be that the journey or the vaults, as well as the usual Nightmare Dungeon grind. This will result in much better gear to work with, way more resources, and probably a more powerful construct companion, which will matter long term. It's up to you what method you want to pick. Maybe you'll even dip into both, but I hope this information has helped you be prepared a bit for the Season 3 grind. If you guys have any extra information or tips, you can drop that in the comments. Maybe you'll help someone. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in Season 3.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.